If you work with preschoolers with communication impairments, you care about literacy. You know that your kiddos are at greater risk for literacy delays in elementary school. So you want to be proactive. However, you probably don't have the time to give a full literacy assessment with 8 to 10 subtests involved, which would take multiple therapy sessions. Which is why today I come like the literacy Santa Claus, bringing 3 fabulous literacy assessments that take 5 to 15 minutes to complete with 4-year-olds. These different literacy assessments I'm going to share with you today each have a unique skill set that they assess. You are going to love all 3 of these, put them in your toolbox, and take them out depending on the individual child's needs. I can't wait to share them. I just want to dive right in. If you want the links to these free assessments, make sure to sign up for my newsletter at KellyVess.com. I'll be sending them out this Sunday. The first assessment is known as LSAT, E-L-S-A-T, and that stands for Emergent Literacy Skills Assessment Tool. Now, this is a great 10-item screening for 4-year-olds. If the 4-year-old gets more than 5 of the 10 items incorrect, it means they are at risk for literacy delay. What's neat about this assessment, it assesses print concept knowledge. What is the name of the book? What is the first line in this book? What is the last line in this book? As well as print knowledge, being able to identify the letters, sound knowledge, what do each of the sounds sound like, and also rhyming, and the very important skill of segmentation or lesion. What they did with this assessment is they originally had 68 items, and they pared it down to the 10 items that had the most validity in predicting whether or not this was a child with a literacy delay. So it's a really great way to spend 5 minutes. Literally within 5 minutes, you can have this 10-question screening done. All you need is a children's book. What children's book, you might ask? Whatever children's book the child loves. So any children's book will work with this generalized assessment. Fabulous way to spend 5 minutes. Now, even though it's referenced on 4-year-olds, I've used it on 3-year-olds as a criterion reference just to kind of get an idea of where they are. Let's jump into the next assessment. It's going to be about phonological awareness skills. So this assessment is known as the ATLAS PA, ATLAS, A-T-L-A-S, PA, and that stands for Access to Literacy Assessment System for Phonological Awareness. It has 3 subtests, and it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. 10 minutes if the child's 4, 15 minutes if the child's 3. It's made for ages 3 to 6 years. This assessment looks at 3 phonological awareness skills, and it makes sense because the first assessment is rhyming, which is an easier phonological awareness skill. The second assessment's a little harder. It's blending, where you're blending the sounds together. Cat, cat. The third assessment is going to be a segmentation, a lesion. Segmentation is where you're taking a part of the word out. So instead of catfish, if you take away cat, what do you have remaining? So these skills that they're assessing are very important. And the 2 skills that we're looking at that are of pivotal importance in predicting which children in kindergarten are going to have stronger literacy skills are blending, which makes sense. You're blending sounds to create a word, which is what many of us do when we read. And also the other one is a lesion or segmenting, in which you're taking parts out of a word and then forming a new word. These 2 skills are of pivotal importance. So it is nice to have data to see if you're improving in these areas on your way to kindergarten. Now let's look at the third test. The third test is really going to look at verbal working memory. And the way that's going to look at that is the children are going to repeat a nonsense word that's going to increase in syllable length from 2 syllables to start to 4 syllables to end. And the neat thing about this test, it's known as the SRT syllable repetition test is that they're only using the sounds P, B, M, N, and ah. Now, these are the first 5 initial sounds that many children develop. So that way, you're not going to be marking children as incorrect because of their speech sound disorder. Most children get P, B, M, and D down as their first sounds. So they'll have words such as pa, da in the beginning, and then at the 4-syllable level, it'll go to pa, ma, da, na. So you have pa, ma, da, na, 4 syllables. Now, I have tried this out with 3-year-olds to see their ability to repeat these sounds at the 3-year-old level. And it's silly. A lot of the children look at me, and if I say pa, ba, and ma, da, they'll say pa, ba, 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 ba. They think we're playing a game in which we're making up super silly words. Even though I read the directions and I follow all the directions, it's just, these children just learn to talk, and now you're asking them to say pa, ma, da, na. So it's not really developmentally appropriate. The test is made for ages 4 to 9 years. So it's not even normed on a 3-year-old. I just tried it to see what would happen. And what I found was a lot of silly. It was just not a developmentally appropriate task. I wouldn't recommend trying that with 3-year-olds based on my experience, but it's good for ages 4 to 9 years of age. That is only going to be 18 items that the child repeats, and that too will take about 5 to 10 minutes in length. So it's a very short test. Now, why do we care about that? Because verbal working memory difficulties and difficulties repeating nonsense word is a hallmark of preschool age and school age children that have developmental language disorder, DLD. Now, DLD is very underdiagnosed, and children with DLD have a lot of struggles socially, academically, even vocationally later in life. It persists all the way through adulthood. If we can identify the DLD early on and they see that they do really poorly at a syllable repetition test, we can follow that up with a more complete language evaluation, because that's really such a hallmark symptom, difficulty repeating nonsense words. If we see that, we want to follow up on that. If there's smoke, there's fire. The smoke is the difficulty repeating nonsense words. So those are the 3 assessments, all under 15 minutes. Like I said, the first one will take you about 5 minutes, the LSAT. And that's a great assessment if you want to look at the different concept knowledge. What's nice about that is in 5 minutes, you get a look at all things that matter. The trifecta when it comes to phonological awareness skills is letter sound knowledge. So not only can the children identify the letters, but they know what they sound like. That is one area that's highly predictive of elementary age literacy skills. Another area, as we mentioned before, is blending. Can they blend those sounds together to create words? The third area we're talking about here is lesion or segmenting. Are they able to create new words when you take out parts of the word? It could be a phoneme in the word. It could be a syllable. That's the trifecta. Those are the 3 most predictive phonological awareness skills. So spending our time developing those skills at the preschool level is time well spent. I'll be covering that for speechpathology.com. I hope you can join me in August on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern time. The month of August is all about literacy intervention. It's going to be so much fun. I don't want you to miss that. So I hope you can join me there at speechpathology.com. Every Thursday in August, I'll be there at 12 noon. And I'm going to have an amazing, functional, do this today. This is evidence-based. This is the latest and greatest. Put it into practice right now. Innovate your literacy intervention. It's going to be fabulous. So make sure to join me there. Those are the 3 tests. I want you to go ahead, put them in your toolbox. Each of them has a different purpose for each unique child that you want to look further into. Just to keep in mind, these are all screeners. You can follow these up with something like the CTOP, which is a wonderful literacy assessment, very well researched and highly valid to look further into literacy skills. But when you have 5 to 15 minutes, this is time well spent. I want you to take all of this information today, roll up your sleeves, and make the world a better place, one person at a time. You're always going to be first.